And before you go, don't forget to support the channel, hit like, press subscribe, and join the Kindness Journey Hub family. Together, let's spread more kindness, more compassion, and more real stories that remind us we're not alone. A poor nurse gave her only doll to a sick girl, not knowing she was the daughter of a CEO single dad. Aisha had always believed that hospitals were places where miracles competed with heartbreaks. As a junior nurse, she didn't earn much, but she carried herself with dignity and a soft smile that made even the coldest corridors feel warm. She worked long shifts, walked home every night because she couldn't afford transport, and lived in a small rented room with peeling paint. Yet, no one could deny that she had a gift, a heart that naturally leaned toward compassion. One winter evening, the hospital was unusually crowded. A fever outbreak had brought in dozens of patients, and every nurse was on their feet. Amid the chaos, Aisha heard the faint sound of a child crying. Not the loud sort, but a painful, exhausted whimper, the kind that pulls something deep inside your chest. She followed the sound to a corner room where a young girl, maybe 6 or 7, lay curled on the bed. Her face was flushed with fever, her hair messy and damp. She clutched a blanket miserably. Aisha approached softly. "Hey sweetie, are you hurting? Can I help?" The girl peeked at her, eyes watery and frightened. My dad's not here. I'm scared." Aisha gently sat beside her, brushing the girl's forehead. "What's your name, love?" "Hania," she whispered. The doctor had stepped out for test results, and no guardian had arrived yet. Aisha checked her chart: severe viral infection, extremely high temperature, weak immune response. She needed comfort as much as treatment. Aisha searched through her pockets, hoping to find something, candy, a sticker, anything. But she found nothing. Nurses like her barely kept anything personal with them. Then she remembered, in her locker, wrapped in a handkerchief, was the faded old doll. Her mother had gifted it to her when she was little, and Aisha had kept it through all these years as a reminder of love, a small fragment of her childhood that had survived poverty, loss, and hardship. She rarely touched it but kept it close, like a quiet prayer she carried through life. Without thinking twice, she rushed to the locker room, retrieved the doll, and returned to Hania. "This," Aisha said softly, placing the doll in the small trembling hands, "is my favorite friend. She helped me through many scary nights. And tonight, she belongs to you." Hania's tears slowed. "Really? You're giving her to me?" "Yes," Aisha smiled. "She's yours now." Hania clutched the doll tightly, as if holding on to hope. Aisha stayed until the child fell asleep. She had no idea that at that very moment, a man was running through the hospital entrance, panic-stricken, breathless, and gripping his car keys so tightly his knuckles had turned white. The CEO and single dad Umar Khan was the kind of man newspapers loved to write about. A billionaire CEO known for transforming failing companies into thriving empires. But behind the fame, behind the sharp suits and cold reputation, was a father who had buried his wife 3 years ago. Since his wife's passing, Umar had raised Hania alone. But running an empire meant meetings, negotiations, and deadlines, and despite all his wealth, he struggled to be present. He arrived at the hospital terrified. He pushed past reception, ignoring security and nurses calling after him. "Where is my daughter?" "She's in room 207, a nurse pointed. Umar rushed to the room and froze when he saw Hania sleeping, clutching an old doll, and a nurse softly humming beside her. He stepped inside slowly, not wanting to disturb them. Aisha turned and stood up immediately. "You must be her father," she said politely. He didn't respond. His eyes were on the doll, old, worn, completely out of place among the expensive toys he bought for Hania. "Where did she get this?" he asked quietly. "I gave it to her." She was scared. He stared at her with disbelief. "You gave your belongings to my daughter?" Aisha hesitated, unsure if she'd broken any rule. "She needed comfort, sir." Umar didn't know how to react. He was so used to people wanting something from him, businesses, investors, employees. But this woman, she had given something precious without expecting anything in return. "Thank you," he said finally. The words felt strange in his mouth. The misunderstanding. Over the next 2 days, Aisha continued checking on Hania whenever she could. She braided her hair, sang to her, told her stories, even fed her soup when her appetite was too weak. Hania adored her, but on the 3rd day, a senior nurse pulled Aisha aside. You need to be careful, she warned. That girl's father is the richest man in the city. He expects professionalism. He might think you're overstepping. Aisha froze. She never wanted to cross a line. She only wanted to help. That evening, while adjusting Hania's foreline, she accidentally overheard a conversation outside the room. Look, Umar, a male doctor said, your daughter is improving. But some nurses, they get attached. Emotional involvement isn't ideal. Umar sighed. I'm grateful she cared for Hania, but yes, boundaries matter. Aisha's heart cracked. Was she a problem? Had she made him uncomfortable? She stepped out, stood straight, and said politely, Sir, if I overstepped, I apologize. I never meant. Umar cut her off gently. No, Miss Aisha. Miss Aisha, you didn't do anything wrong. I just worry, people sometimes get close because of who I am. She felt insulted but swallowed it. I cared for her because she needed it, not because of who you are. Then she walked away before he could respond. For the rest of the shift, she avoided him. The BREAKDOWN. Late that night, Aisha sat alone on the rooftop during her break. It was freezing, but the cold felt better than the ache in her chest. She had worked so hard to remain kind despite life's cruelty. And yet, even her kindness could be misunderstood. She whispered to herself, maybe I should stop caring so much, but the thought hurt her. She didn't know that Umar had followed her voice. I owe you an apology, he said softly. She jumped slightly. Sir, I misunderstood, he said. I've spent so many years being wary of people's intentions. I forgot what genuine kindness looks like. Aisha didn't speak, and that doll you gave her, he continued. Hania wouldn't let go of it. She says it's the only thing that made her feel safe. Aisha's eyes softened. Umar took a breath. I haven't been a great father lately. I'm trying, but running a company and raising a child alone, his voice cracked for the first time in years. Aisha felt her heart shift. He wasn't arrogant. He was hurting. Alone. Exhausted, she gently said, doing your best counts. She loves you. That's enough. Umar looked at her with quiet admiration. You're special, Nurse Aisha. But before she could reply, a call echoed from the hallway. Emergency. Room 207. They ran together. The moment everything changed. Hania's fever had spiked dangerously. Her small body trembled, her breathing uneven. The medical team surrounded her, preparing injections and equipment. Aisha held Hania's hand. I'm here, sweetheart. Stay with me. Listen to my voice. Umar stood helpless, trembling. Is she going to be okay? Please, someone say something. Aisha's calmness became the anchor in the room. After intense effort, oxygen support, antipyretics, and constant monitoring, Hania's breathing finally stabilized. Her tiny fingers tightened around Aisha's, and for the first time, she whispered in a raspy voice, Papa, and Aisha, don't leave me. Umar broke into tears. He had never cried in front of anyone since his wife died. Aisha wiped the girl's sweat with gentle hands. It's okay, sweet girl. We're both here. You're safe. From that night on, something shifted. Every morning, Umar brought coffee for Aisha. Every evening, he stayed longer at the hospital just to hear her calming voice as she spoke to Hania. And every day, Hania insisted on holding the doll Aisha had given her. Soon, it wasn't just the child who looked forward to seeing Aisha. A beautiful connection grew as Hania slowly recovered. The bond between the three deepened. Aisha taught Umar how to braid Hania's hair. He failed terribly, and they laughed. She taught him small tricks to encourage Hania to eat. He watched her lovingly, memorizing every gesture. One night, as they sat beside Hania's bed, who had finally fallen asleep without fever, Umar spoke softly. I haven't seen my daughter this happy in years. She smiles because of you. Aisha smiled shyly. I just did what anyone with a heart would do. No, he said firmly. Not everyone has a heart like yours. Her cheeks warmed. He added, my wealth couldn't comfort my child, but your kindness could. There was a softness between them, unspoken but real. The goodbye that hurt. When Hania fully recovered, she was discharged. Aisha packed her things and avoided showing much emotion. She reminded herself, patients leave, nurses move on. Attachments are temporary. Umar approached her. We'd like to stay in touch. If you ever need anything at all, please call me. Aisha nodded politely but handed him back a note he tried to give her. Sir, your world and mine are very different. I'm glad I could help your daughter. But that's all. She walked away before her heart could break. Umar stood stunned. For the first time in years, he wanted to chase someone but he didn't. Hania waved from the wheelchair, holding the doll tightly. Aisha. I'll miss you. Aisha waved back with a trembling smile. A month later. An unexpected tenacious financial situation worsened. Rent went up, her younger brother needed medicine, and she was drowning in debt. Still, she refused to contact Umar for help. One evening, the hospital announced layoffs due to budget cuts. Aisha's position, as one of the newest nurses, was removed. She lost her job. Tears filled her eyes but she remained silent. Packing her few belongings into a small bag. As she walked out of the hospital for the last time, she felt utterly defeated. That's when a familiar black car stopped beside her. The door opened. Hania ran out and hugged her tightly. Aisha. Papa said we're visiting you today. Aisha blinked, shocked. Umar stepped out next, holding an envelope. You weren't at the hospital today, he said. I asked for you, and they told me what happened. Aisha looked down. It's okay. I'll manage. No, he said firmly. You shouldn't have to keep suffering alone. She shook her head. I don't want charity. It's not charity. He handed her the envelope. It's a job offer. A job, she whispered. Yes, Umar said. A full-time private nurse for my daughter. High salary. Benefits. Flexible hours. And, he paused, and people in my home who already love you. Hania squeezed her hand. Please say yes. I want you with us. Aisha's eyes filled with tears. But, you could hire anyone, someone more qualified. I don't want anyone else, he said. We want you. With trembling lips, she whispered, yes. A new beginning working at Umar's home was unlike anything Aisha imagined. There was warmth, laughter, and a sense of belonging she had never felt before. She taught Hania how to paint and cook simple meals. She helped Umar manage his schedule so he could spend more time with his daughter. Slowly, days turned into moments of quiet joy, moments turned into memories, and memories turned into feelings. One evening, after putting Hania to sleep, Umar approached Aisha. She asked me if you could stay with us. Forever, he said softly. Aisha smiled. Children say such things. He stepped closer. I'm saying it too. Her breath caught. I don't want you in our lives only as a nurse, he continued. I want you here as family. Tears welled in her eyes as he gently held her hands. I fell in love with your kindness, with your strength, with your heart, he said, and I finally see a future that feels whole again. But I won't rush you. I only want you to know, my door, my home, and my heart are open to you. Aisha whispered, and I love you too. Hania peeked from behind the door with her doll and giggled. I knew it. They all burst into laughter. The MESSAG one old doll. One small act of kindness. One moment of courage. It was enough to heal a child, to soften a broken father, and to give a struggling nurse the family she never had. Sometimes, life changes not through grand gestures, but through simple compassion, offered without expecting anything in return, because kindness always finds its way back, and when it does, it brings miracles with it.